Okay, hi guys, Ngaria here. Let's look at this task over here. So the purpose of this task was these are beetle lengths of a certain study. So this is the sample number and the lengths. Then we are supposed to fill the results and try and write an extra comment. So the results here, we want, if anything is less than this average here, we want the result to be either long if it's greater than the average, or short if it's more than the average. So how we start this one is by, first of all, defining a name. As we've talked about in most of the videos, defining a name helps us reduce the workload and helps us be able to shift this number without having to change the formula. So we go to the formula tab, define a name, want it to be average size. Okay, so we have this as the average size. So the result, it should be if equals if this value is less than the average size, comma, the value if true. If it's less than, we want it to be small. Small. And if it's not, if it's false, we want it to be long. Boom. Double click here. Perfect. It works perfectly. This is a simple if formula, and now goes to the extra comment. So how we want to put the extra comment, as you can see here, we want to see if it's long, we want to put, if this is 6.1 and the average is 5.8, we want to say something like this beetle was 0.3 longer than the average. Something like 0. The sample is 0.3 longer than average. The sample is 0.3 longer than the average. So what we do here, let's write a formula on this one. It should be an if formula, because you're checking if something is one value, give true. If it's false, give another value. And we want it to be, if it's small, it remains blank. Equals if this value equals long. So if that value equals long, we want it to have like the sample, sorry, because we're writing words, the sample is, let's leave a dash here. Let's put an is X longer than the average. Other quotation marks, comma, and the value false, we put two quote marks to say that it puts no value. So whatever we write inside here will be the value that will be given. So if you write G, to write G, but you want it to remain free. So you put enter, only double click here. You can see it's X longer, it's X longer, it's X longer, it's X longer. So now we want to change this X to a value which will be this minus the average. How we do that? We do that by putting this ampersand. So whatever will be inside this ampersand, I'm not sure that's the name, but whatever is inside this ampersand will be, you can write a formula now inside this ampersand. For example, we can write average minus this, and it should have closing brackets. Enter. Double click here. Oh, sorry, I have missed something. Sorry. Oh, so we should close this one. Let me just redo this formula again. So for this X value here, we should close this and close that. Perfect. Then for them to be joined, we have to put two ampersands. Now we can write a formula inside here. So you can write the average size minus this, enter. Double click here, and now you can see how it is. When you make this, when you just look at what is written here, let's have spaces here so that it's readable. But there's a problem. You can see how long the average size, this minus this is. It's even very hard to see. So we have to really expand this so that we can see the sample is this big, this much bigger. And we can see something else that's an error here. It should be, because there are negatives, these ones, they should be B6 minus the average size. But this number is very, very big. And we can make it a little bit smaller, as I've said. This should be B4 minus the average size. Yeah, so it becomes more readable. But we want to reduce these numbers to make them a little bit reasonable. Make them have maybe a certain rounding off on them. A certain rounding off on them so that they become a little bit better. So how we do that is by, let me just do that. Yeah. So how we are supposed to do this is we are supposed to use something like the round off. So we should use the round off formula, which you can come here, delete this, right? Round. So how the round off formula works, you give it a number, which our number now is this B4 minus the average, comma, and how many digits we want to round it to 2, or maybe 2 digits, or 1 digit, or 3. You can put 3, but yeah. And enter. Double click here, and now it looks a little bit better. It looks way, way better. Let me change this so that you can see everything. It looks way better. I think we can change it to 2 decimal places now. 2 looks a little bit smaller. Yeah, you can see now how it looks. It looks very nice. Remember that we'll put a round off. We'll put these 2 ampersands so that we can write something in between. And that's how it works. And here this space is so that it does not represent anything. Okay, we can add something else here. You can just copy paste this. Put it here so that it works, just minor round off, so it minuses the other side. Sorry. Minus B4, and now smaller. We have added so that you can have both sides being represented. The sample is this much smaller. Double click here. So the sample, you can see the sample is smaller. Let's go to the last one. The sample is this much longer, this one was smaller, etc., etc. And that's how you use the if formula and the ampersands to put an extra statement inside the information. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Hope it was informative. See you in the next video. Peace.